Hello, this will be a brief overview of Twitter for Marketing 242. Many of the slides contained in this presentation will not be read by me here, but I will post them as a slide deck that will live separate from this presentation so you can review them at your own leisure and at your own speed in the future. A quick review before we get started is the paid, earned, and owned media distinctions. So social media, of course, facilitates excellently a company's ability to participate with its consumers through earned impressions. These are not campaigns that are easy to guarantee that they can happen, but when a company leverages their paid and owned media, they do it in a way that demonstrates they're listening to their target consumers and they're engaged with them, living their lives in the way they live them. That's when they get those retweets and shares and discussion threads going that will promote their product, and that's how you drive earned impressions. An example of a company doing this was Oreo, their Daily Twist campaign, which occurred in, I believe, late 2012, early 2013. There is a link here. I will also make sure you have that to link through to. It shows how their marketing department decided to re-engage with their customers, and they did it through, of course, social media and showing how they can repurpose their project, reimagine their product in a way that makes it more relatable to their consumers. And as a result of this campaign, one of the things they were able to do very quickly during Super Bowl 2013, when the lights went out in the stadium, because they had this campaign already underway, people were able to very quickly engage with with what was happening in real time. And so immediately across social media platforms, you saw a little Oreo cookie there, sort of in the dark, saying you can still dunk in the dark. So this campaign was highly successful, and not only was it entertaining, but it led to a raised awareness of the product and increased sales. Twitter is considered a microblog, a platform where people can share information in very short bursts very quickly. While they microblogs oftentimes are not as splashy looking, what they sacrifice in creativity, they make up for in their ability to get across a lot of information in bite-sized amounts very quickly. They also made popular use of hashtags. Companies using hashtags well looks like them, instead of trying to create a splashy hashtag, they listen very well to what people are talking about, what topics are trending, and sort of hijack that trend. It's called trend jacking. So what they'll do is repurpose and or craft their message to promote their project using hashtags that people are already currently highly and heavily engaging in. So the ability to do this is sometimes entertaining, but it also can backfire on companies. For instance, when it does not feel authentic for a company to engage with certain trends in a way, it can be a turnoff to a target audience. So it is important to be mindful of how you are using hashtags or trend jacking. It's definitely something that can backfire, but it's also something that can pay off hugely to show that you are actually listening and engaged with the people whom you are considering your target audience. An example of a popular microblog would be Weibo from China. While it's mainly limited to mainland China, it has 500 million users. And it began as a language translation microblog, allowing people to communicate who weren't speaking the same language. It became a very useful tool for companies and corporations within China, and that's what led to its explosive growth. Alibaba also owns a stake in it, and also this evidences how platforms don't stand alone. Just like Twitter, the subject of this presentation, there is ability and connectivity throughout the social media spectrum. When you are, though, aware of the size of this type of social media platform, it's oftentimes for large companies something they invest hugely in having a constant presence in. For small businesses, it's very difficult to do that, but small businesses have the ability to perhaps be a little more edgy and or controversial in their comments and or fit their messaging to their specific audience. So it does have benefits even for small business and individual users as well. Twitter now has over 1 billion registered users, and most notably, 320 million monthly users are creating content. This is still a growing number, and it's widely available across many devices. And it's also a platform where each user has their own unique name. They also, again, have an enormous amount of connectivity between Twitter and other social media platforms. The thing that companies that are using Twitter smartly will do is really listen to what topics are trending. What is it that people are saying, and how are they interacting with certain ideas is extraordinarily important information for any company when they want to launch a campaign. So what Twitter allows you to do is stalk, quite literally. You are able to listen in on people's conversations without even being invited to them. The openness of Twitter is really what makes it so valuable for companies. You, though, have very short amount of time to gain people's attention, and you only have 280 characters. So you want to create messages that have very few spaces in them. And if you are going to include a URL, you want to shorten that URL using Bitly or some other tool that can shorten a URL. That way you have more characters within your message to say something targeted to your audience. There are also many tools available for Twitter that allow you to schedule out your social media posts, and also gain tools to show how your audience is interacting with those messages you're sending. So it has the ability to sync up to Hootsuite, for example, which we're using in this course, where you can really get access to a lot of metrics to see what messages are impacting your audience most effectively. So even though people come to the platform for entertainment, it is also very effective in pushing out information and also for networking purposes. So Twitter is, till this day, the only source that some people use to get their news. As you may have noticed, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, uses Twitter quite extensively to communicate just about everything he's thinking. And so this draws people into the platform on a daily basis multiple times. And this is also a place where people can have very strong opinions about what they're hearing and seeing. So Twitter can be used this way by a company to, especially a small business, to show that they're just as outraged about something as everybody else is, and further showing their authenticity and engaging with certain messages and trending topics on the platform. So I'm going to go through the next slides very quickly. I'm not going to read them to you. You can read these. I will post these again in a PowerPoint deck for you to have access to. But again, with all of our platforms that we're studying in this course, it's really up to you to gain as much knowledge as you can about each of these platforms in the context of you helping your clients. The project that we have you doing here, it really requires you to be in the role of an advisor to a client, and it's not for you to be creating ads for them or hijacking their social media platforms and pushing out messages. Really what we want you to do is just study how they're using it to make suggestions about how they can be using their platforms more effectively. And is, in many cases, they may not take your advice or act on it within the time of the course, but it's really more about your learning. You really beginning to study what's working and what's not is very important. So the more information you have, the conceptual information, the terms, all of these things will help, because many small business owners especially, they just don't have the time to go in depth, as far in depth of studying really the differences between these platforms. And this is another reason we picked the book Jab, 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 Right Hook. There's tons of information in there that will immediately help you analyze your client's social media usage and give them some really helpful feedback, and they'll appreciate it. But again, please remain professional at all times and do not be forceful in your recommendations. Just note that it is something that you have come across within this course or in your studies that you think they might find interesting, and give them and deliver the advice as professionally as possible. So here we go. I'll show each of these slides for 15 seconds each. You can stop and slow down this presentation if you choose. But here we go. And finally, your chapter of the book relating to Twitter from Jab, 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 Right Hook. They end each chapter with questions to ask that are very specific to that platform. And this is, again, really great for you to be thinking about from the client's perspective. These are your prompts when you're analyzing how your client's using social media, particularly if they're on Twitter. These questions are relevant. Is their message to the point? Is the hashtag, if they're using one, unique and memorable? And also, is it something that is trending or something they could connect to a trending topic? Is the image attached high quality? Does the voice sound authentic? That means, is it the message, not their actual speaking voice, but the content of their message sound like it's authentic, or are they just seen as inappropriately hijacking a trending topic just for their own gain? And will it resonate with the audience? Is it being delivered in a way that people will pick up on it, or will it just be ignored in the clutter of and chaos of the noise on the platform? So the chapter also ends with several examples of things that went well when companies used Twitter and things that did not go so well. Here are a few more. You can see Best Buy using Twitter to engage their customers with important information on brands, and also they have a community that will help support their customers with any product issues that may come up, and it allows them to respond to people immediately without having to wait online forever in a store for help, and or on the phone through a messaging system where people are oftentimes not even fully aware of what you're asking. The way Best Buy set up this particular page is their employees that wanted to opt into being managers of it, or people who were responsible for engaging with customers, all had specific training, and they will get the people who know the most about the products on here, so that when customers do have questions or issues, or they have to send out alerts around products, the people that are feeding content into this are the most qualified people to do so. You can also see how Doritos used this platform, Twitter specifically. There's a link down there that I'll also share with you. Really throughout the internet, you'll find really good examples of how companies use the specific platforms most effectively. It doesn't take much to search and find things. Snickers is another one. This was really brilliant, where they had a campaign in Australia with a hunger rhythm meter they used as a hashtag, and they were supposedly creating an algorithm that showed how angry people were, or hangry people were on the internet, and the angrier people got, the cheaper the Snickers bar was, because they would increase the amount of savings that they would offer through coupons. So they did notice throughout this campaign that people were the most angsty or angry on the internet between meal times, which of course fits perfectly with their campaign, which is to grab a Snickers bar when you're hangry. So this was also a very successful campaign. A couple more, Virgin and Porsche. These are examples of promoted trends. You can pay, it's not cheap, so this is something that large companies, it's an option that is only available really for them, because it can cost up to $200,000 a day to have a promoted trend, but they will appear at the top of someone's feed and or off in a special box that is also targeted to the most likely intended audience as well. So each of these companies have run very successful promoted trend campaigns, and the results that you get, or the metrics that you often receive that are indicative of whether your campaign was a success or not, tend to be very simple and easy to read. And it's really about, did you extend your reach? Is it more than normal? How many impressions do you have? All of those things that help you know if the campaign was a success or not are getting more and more sophisticated, and more helpful for marketers to know when and how to message their product message. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, and please read the book. It's filled with even more helpful suggestions, and we will see you next time when we talk about Pinterest and LinkedIn. Thank you.